Since yesterday, Flight Simulator 2024 is available. After some struggling, I do think that most people now have access, although I'm not 100% sure about that. But if you've got access, you might struggle again with a new issue, which are your controllers. In this video, we're going to look at how to set up the controllers, and then specifically for the VelocityOne flight system, although you can reuse those steps on every joystick. Let's roll the intro and then let's look at the Let's roll the intro and then let's look at the details. As already mentioned, we're going to look at how you can configure the controls. And in this video, we're going to look specifically for the VelocityOne FlightSystem joystick or set, whatever you want to call it, and then see how we can control a flight simulator or an aircraft using that controller. So by default, it will use, I would say, a setup which is not that nice. Especially if you're coming from Flight Simulator 2020, you might be completely lost. So I was in the same scenario, and that's why I decided to record this video to show you how you can set up the yoke first, and then later on in a future video, we're going to look at the throttle, right? So I'm going to post it a little bit later, likely tomorrow, and then you can find the yoke also. So to start, we need to go to the settings menu. In the settings menu, you can find the controls. And inside the controls, you will find the VelocityOne flight yoke. Now what you need to do is you need to do some things in this area. But let me first explain this. In Flight Simulator 2024, there are some new things. There are the general controls, which I would say not specific to any aircraft. There are the airplanes controls, which are for, I would say, the aircrafts. And then there are the specific aircraft controllers, like the 172 Skyhawk controllers, which allow you to kind of specifically set up a flight system for, I would say, or a joystick, sorry, for a specific aircraft. Think about the throttles, which you might want to set up a little bit different in certain aircraft types. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the existing one, right? So we can say duplicate and then give the name. So I'm going to give the name and then say VelocityOne flight yoke, and then call it MSFS custom, right? Because it's my custom setup. Now, if you want to apply to all the aircrafts, you can set the box over here or set as the default. You can also set it over here. If you do that, I would say that's an option, but it's not necessary to do it now because you can do it later on. The same thing we're going to do for this one. We're going to say duplicate and then provide the name. VelocityOne flight yoke MSFS custom. We're not going to check any of the options, and what it will do is will automatically switch to this option. Now, if you want to see which controls are assigned, you can press this filter option, which will show the assigned buttons. And here you can see all the buttons, but you can also see that there are some numbers behind it. And if I click on the gear, I can see that in this case, this specific option or button has been connected to all these functions. And that really doesn't make any sense if you ask me. But hey, there must be some logic behind it. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all the bindings. And to do that, we're going to press the gear again and then press the clear option. And say OK. And then the same thing here. And then say, okay, hey, I want to clear it. And then the whole list is empty, right? A little bit scary, I understand. But hey, I'm going to help you to make sure that it works again. So we're going to change the view to either essentials, but you can also set it to none, because we're going to use this search box on the top to find certain controls. So the first one we're going to look at is the POV number 0. Where it's actually is the POV number 1, but it's called POV number 0 in on the PC version, or POV on the Xbox. So keep that in mind. And we're gonna search for, let's say, the quick view, right? The quick view shows us the quick cockpit free look. That's what we're gonna configure using this button. And it can have, I'd say, in this case, can have 4 directions, right? You can look up, down, left, right. So I'm gonna search for cockpit. And that will show us a lot of options. And this is where the fun starts. So first of all, you've got the general, which means it's in this section. And then you've got the digital, which means that you can trigger it using a button. So what we're going to do in this case, we're going to use the quick views up, rear, right, and left. So I'm going to press the option up on the path number 1. I'm going to press the option back or down, right, and then left. In this case, I can pretty easily, I would say, look quickly to the left, and if I release the joystick or release that button, it will remove, or I'd say it will return to the existing view. Now, what you could do, depending on if you like it or not, you can do the same thing for the external view, right? So if I search for the external view, external view, I will also have those options with the quick looks. So I can either search this whole long list, which is, I would say, pretty lengthy list, as you can see. But I can also, let's say, do it differently, right? So I can also search for quick, and then likely it will find me the information. So let me external quick, and then it will show me the settings. So again, I do the same thing. So left, rear, right, and then top. This shows you that you can define multiple controls. In this case, it works because it are different views, right? It's the cockpit view and it's the external view, so they won't conflict with each other if you use them. Then the next one is the B1, right? That's referred to button number 9 on both the Xbox as well as the PC, and that will be used to change the view. So we're going to search in this case for external view. Oh, actually, we see it already. This is the cockpit external view mode. So we're going to press the button and then we're going to click it. You can see that velocity number 1 or joystick button number 1 has now been assigned to the general view again, which makes sense because that's correct. So continuing with the list, we're going to move to the head number 1. Head number 1 has the up, down, left, and right. And they're used to change to the instrument views, right? So instrument view, I'm going to press it and search it, and then we've got the previous system. So the previous one is head down, that's button number 15, and if we want to do the next instrument, we are using button number 13. Keep in mind on the Xbox they are button number 23 and button number 25 respectively. Then of course we've got the head left and head right, and those are to trim the ailerons. So I'm going to search for aileron, and then it will show you a long list. And there you will find a lot of options. Make sure that you're selecting the correct one, right? So trim aileron left. Going to press it, button number 16 and button number 14. If you're using the Xbox, it is button number 26 and 24 respectively. So keep that in mind. Everything has been set up from this part, right? So I would say everything is still cool. Now, of course, what we want to do is we want to use some other buttons, right? Button number 5, for example. Button number 5 is the LB button, which is on the left side of the joystick, right? You can see it on in the video which one it is. And it's used to use the left brake. So let's search for left brake. And here comes some dangerous things, because here you can see the left brake axis and the left brake digital. As far as I figured out, it looks like that you need to use the left axis, right? I'm not sure why, but hey, I tried to use, I would say, the other one, and it didn't work in my case. Although I would expect that it would work because it's kind of, you need to set the left brake. But it could be that I'm mixing up things, and if that's the case, we will figure it out in a few seconds. Now the same thing need to be done for the rudder, right? So let's do that. We're gonna search for the left rudder. I know that I didn't do the right brake yet, but we're gonna go to it separately. So I'm gonna search for rudder. Oh. And the rudder is a little bit special. And the reason I'm saying that is because the rudder, you can see there are so many options. Initially you think, okay, it is either rudder axis left and right or yaw left and right, but that's not the case. The one you need is the rudder axis. Press the option and then, let's say, press the button, which is the L axis Z from Zulu. It's also really known as the L axis 2 on the Xbox, right? That's the LT button. So we're good to go with, I would say, the left side of the joystick. Now we need to go to the right side of the joystick yoke, right? That's the better name. So the first wing is the path number 2, which is called the path number 1 on the PC, and button number 15 up to 22 on the Xbox. So we're gonna change the views. So we're gonna first look for the cockpit view. And I explain why I do that like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the cockpit, and then in the cockpit we've got a lot of options. For example, we can look up, left, right, down, up, and that's what you see here, right? You can see a lot of options here. So the cockpit view upper, the view zoom axis over here, and then you see a lot of other options. However, the ones which we're looking for, those are missing from this list. I'm not sure why, but if you search for cockpit, you will find them. Because if you would scroll down here, you would see a lot of options, including the lockable, but also here you will find the look down, left, right, up, over here, right? So make sure that you're using these because it will work. So we're going to press the options again. So here we go, right? So first we're going to press down. Oh, I said down. I'm pressing the wrong down. Here we go. No, this one is the one we should skip. Then go left. No, left, right, and then do look up. The similar thing you can do for the external view, right? Because originally they're used for the external view. So let's search for the external view. And there we go again. External view, make sure you're selecting the correct ones. So first of all down, then look left, look right, and then look up. Again, the ones here can be ignored because they're used in different views. So nothing to worry about. Then we need to reset the view. And to reset the view, we need to search for view because that's button number 2, which refers to button number 10 on the joystick as well as on the Xbox. And if you search for reset, there will be a lot of resets. So what you need to do in this case, at least that's what I did, but it's of course up to you, is you can change the resets to, or assign the reset button to 2 views. First of all, if you search for reset, that's likely easier, right? So reset. I did it in my case for the, reset the cockpit view. I'm pressing the button now, right? Button number 10, as already mentioned. And I did it for the external view. Of course, you can configure it for the other views also, like the reset drone roll or reset the drone target offset. That's really up to you. But in my case, I only assigned it to these ones. But of course, feel free to assign it to the other buttons or other options, other camera positions. Now this has been done, we can go with head up and down. And these ones is normally assigned to the, camera modifier and system modifier. But I would say if you search for modifier, it won't find anything here. So I'm not sure how they were used in Flight Simulator 2020. If you know, then let me know if I the comment box below, and I will find the, corresponding controller option in Flight Simulator 2024. But for now, I leave them untouched. So we're gonna only search for the rudder trim, because those have been assigned to rudder trim, and we only need to assign them to those head to left and right. So that's the trim option, right? So trim left. Gonna press the option, and it's button number 20. As you can see, it's button number 20. That's kind of weird because trim left. Yeah, button number 20. According to the manual, it's a different button. And then button number 18, which is not in line with the documentation from, I would say, in this case, the vendor. So keep that in mind. It might not be correct. And while talking, I need to correct this, right? Because we were at the trim right. It needs to be set to this one. So make sure that you're using the correct controllers. In some case, you will see that the buttons are a little bit different. I'm not sure what's causing it, but hey, that's what it is. Then we've got the brakes, right? We need to set up the brakes because we didn't do that. Brake. If I search for brake, I can also search for the right brake and then press that respective button. which is button number 6, according to, let's say, Flight Simulator. And then we have that rudder again. But the rudder, as mentioned already, since we set up the rudder axis, which is over here, we don't need to set up that right button. So we're good to go. So we also completed that right end. Now, of course, the most important things, because we still have that yoke which we want to use, right? We want to use it to change the ailerons. So let's do that. So you can see that aileron left and trim right and left have been assigned, but there's no, let's say, aileron left and right yet configured, because we need to use the airplane's axis. So if I move it, left and right is now configured. Of course, the same thing needs to happen with, let's say, the elevator. So again, search for elevator, and then you will find the elevator axis over here. Do it like this, and then press the joystick, which will assign the L axis Y or L axis 3 on the Xbox. Now there are a few, let's say, custom options which you can do. First of all, there's the, let's say, button A, which is the smart camera. So let's search for that. Smart camera, toggle the smart camera, and then press the respective button on the yoke, and down button number B. According to the manual, it needs to be set to show the checklist. Again, I'm not sure if this one works, but let's set it up. Likely you also don't use them on a regular base. And then we've got the nav log, which we can show, which is button number C. And then last but not least, we've got display the ATC, which is button number Y, or button number 4, as they call it. The rest of the buttons right on that yoke can't be configured. So let's now first check if everything works as expected. So we're going to go back to the aircraft and we're inside. So we're going to first try that path number 1, right? We're going to move left, we're going to move right, we're going to look up, and we're going to look back. That looks like to work. Now the next step is we're going to use that button number 1, which will move us to the outside. And if we press it again, it moves us to the inside. If we're moving to the outside, we can still use that path number 1 to have the different views of the aircraft, right? The top, from the front, etc. That works perfectly. So let's go inside the aircraft again. Because we need to test some other things, of course, right? We did a lot, but we didn't test everything yet. So what we're going to use is, in this case, the head up. And the head up, if you configure it correctly, it should go to the next instrument and the previous instrument. But as you can see, now I'm pressing them, really nothing happens. So likely I did something wrong. So let's go back to the control view and let's double check what I did wrong. Because it should work, right? Everything should work. So let's go to the settings menu again, and then let's go to the controls. And then let's make sure that if we're searching here in this menu for instrument, that previous and next instrument, yeah, they have been set up, right? So pressing it again, let's say button number down and up. Yeah, it looks like to be correct, right? So really wondering why it doesn't work. Might have to do because we're in a different view. That was likely the cause, right? We were not in the default view. So if I'm pressing those options now, or am I able to navigate to that? I'd say it doesn't work. That's really bad, right? It did work previously, but now it doesn't work for some reason. But believe me, it should work normally. So if you also encountered this issue, let me know, because I played around with this, I would say, in the previous setup, right, prior to recording this video. But for some reason, it doesn't work as we speak. Maybe we need to go to one of the views already. Yeah, that looks like to be a case. So we can, say, move to this, but only once we're in that, I would say, normal view. So keep that in mind that you likely can't use this only if you switch to the instrument view. So that brings me to an ID so that you can assign head number 2 button up, for example, to go to that instrument view. That likely could be an option, right? I will show you how to do that as we speak. So what you can do is, if you go to the settings menu, then search for the instrument view. instrument view. Then we have a lot of options, as you can see. Toggle instrument view number 10, instrument down. Switch to the instrument view below the camera. Toggle by auto select. It looks like that there's no really an option to do that, right? So what you could do technically is assign it to this one. Toggle instrument view number 1. And then press the say up sign, which will assign it to this one. And then let's see if it works. So we're going to reset the view and then use this one. Yeah, and then I would say you can use the other one, the head up, to move to different ones. So that's what I would do, but it's of course up to you if you want to do it like this. Then we've got the aileron trim, which is hard to do in this aircraft as far as I understood, because there's no aileron trim, at least not what I could find in the aircraft. Because I would say there was, I thought it was the button, if you hide the yoke, it was this, but this is the pitch trim, which you can change. I thought there was also an aileron trim also over here, but that likely will work in another aircraft. I'm not going to test it for now. Then, of course, we've got the brakes, right? The brakes are here, right? And we can press the brakes. You can see it works. Brake left and brake right. That works. And then we've got the, I would say, left and right rudder, right? You can also check it from the outside, right? So if you press the button, you will see that it will really start to move, which is, I would say, cool. So until now, I would say we've made a lot of progress, right? So the other thing which you can do is use that path number 2 to, let's say, kind of completely, let's say, turn around in the aircraft, look up and look down. That's something which you can do. But if you switch to the external view, you can also do the same thing, right? So up, down, left, and then you can, it's almost, you're just getting sick, right? And then button number 2 will reset the view. So button number 2 will reset the view. So we're good to go. Then the head number 2 hasn't been configured. Head up, right? It modifies the camera view to the instrument view. And then we've got that, I would say, rudder trim left and right. And you can use the buttons over there, right? The rudder trim, which you can use. Also, I'd say that's might be challenging with this aircraft because these are the pitch trims which are there. So likely you can't do that with this one, but you could do it in other aircrafts again, right? I'm not going to show this one. And then, of course, we've got the, well, the yoke itself, right? Push it forward, pull it towards left, right. Also works perfectly fine. And of course, you can also check if it works from the outside. Always recommended to do prior to flying. And you can see that we can use these buttons also here. Now for the rest of the buttons. Let's go inside the aircraft, right? If I press the A from Alpha, then it will move me to the smart view, which is this view, which works. Then the B from Bravo, it didn't work for me, so it didn't display the checklist. Could have to do that, it didn't start the aircraft yet, but I was still expecting it to work. That same thing applies to the C from Charlie, or the X from X-ray, sorry, didn't work. However, the Y, to show the ATC, that one worked. I'm not sure why the other ones didn't work. Could be due to, let's say, an issue, or I did something wrong. Or it could be due to the fact that the aircraft, I would say, wasn't started yet. And with this, and a lot of talking, I know, we completed the setup of the yoke part of the Turtle Beach VelocityOne flight system. In the next video, we're going to look at how to configure the, I would say, the other part, right? The other part, and for those who are, I would say, wondering what is he talking about, that's the quadrant. So we're going to configure the quadrant specifically for the 172 Skyhawk, but I would say in future videos we will look at also how to configure it for other aircrafts. So again, here ends this video. Thanks for watching this one. If you're looking for more Flight Simulator 2024 content, then have a look at my channel. There are 2, I would say, live streams on it. One, a large one, where we, I would say, we're kind of, testing some things, but also encountered a lot of issues because that was on the day of release. And the second one this morning, where we also flew over roads. We looked at beaches and we looked at some options in Flight Simulator itself. Unfortunately, there were also some issues with loading the content, which made me decide after 1.5 hours to stop, they say, the live stream. Again, Thanks for watching. Enjoy playing Flight Simulator 2024, or if you're still on 2020, of course, also enjoy that one. And I hope to see you back next time.